The sandbox that we play in is this unique intersection between business and psychology. We're founded in 2010, offices in Philadelphia, New York City, and San Francisco, and our mission is to increase the leadership effectiveness around the world. I'm Dr. Jonathan Kershaw. I'm the founder and CEO of the firm. Came to Philadelphia through Widener University, where I pursued a degree in clinical psychology, took a course in my third year in executive coaching, and really was brought a dilemma, right? Do I do clinical? Do I do IO and executive coaching? And really, AIR Consulting is the synthesis of that dilemma, because what we do is help businesses and help organizations achieve high performance, but through psychology, through the levers of psychology. Practically, what does that mean? We look at an organization systemically, and we use the combination of this portfolio of tools to really address the systemic needs of an organization. So at the individual level, concretely, that would be executive coaching or executive assessment, talent assessment. At the team level, we do something called AIR Team Effectiveness, which could be thought of as team coaching, but it's really designed to elevate the team's performance wherever they're at a given point in time. And how we determine where that team is at is through the AIR Team Effectiveness Survey. So we've created a diagnostic tool to help a team understand exactly where they are in terms of their functioning at any given time. At the organizational level, we get involved in pipeline types of programs where we're working with a certain segment of the talent pipeline, such as a high potential program or a succession planning program or a more bespoke program designed to solve a business challenge. We also do coaching culture initiatives where organizations are looking to really from the ground up help managers cultivate coaching skills so that they can be the best managers they can be. For each one of these verticals, we have a technology. So at the one-to-one level, if I'm coaching somebody, I'm going to share a coaching zone, which is a confidential environment shared between me and the coach and the client. And that's where I'll share my coaching notes. There'll be a library of content that's related to the coaching objectives I'm working on. And it's really a central repository that's shared between coach and client that they can access in between sessions. We also have the team zone, which is just like the coaching zone, but for teams or cohorts. And then we have the Enterprise Coaching Manager, which is really an analytics platform, and hence us being at the People Analytics Future of Work conference. And that's helping talent managers and HR professionals see, track, and measure everything that's going on in the talent development ecosystem. So there's a lot of coaches in the world. By raise of hand, if you look right or left in your home or apartment, there's probably a likelihood that there's a coach or that you might even be a coach. So it's a pretty busy space, a saturated market, and part of the reason, a good part of the reason why that is because it works. It's so powerful. But amidst that market and landscape, these are probably the three things that set us apart, we believe. One is our talent. We have some really amazing coaches. Two is our adherence to science. It's a value at AIR to practice evidence-based executive coaching. And then technology. So we have our technology solutions which really enable our services. We view technology as a catalyst to the work that we do. It's friends with our services. I'll double click on each of these. So on the talent side, we have about a little over 100 coaches around the world who speak 14 languages, have two things in common. One is direct business experience, and the second is advanced training in the behavioral sciences. So a phenomenal team of coaches that all deliver against a unified 4-stage process called AIR. And this is an evidence-based process that we've developed in-house. AIR is our acronym. If you're a consultant, you've got to have a good acronym. Assessment, insight, implementation, reinforcement. So I'll walk you through it briefly. If we want to change something, in this case, human behavior, we need to know fundamentally what we're going to change. So we need to do a good assessment. And good assessment for us is identifying multiple data streams so that we can achieve convergent validity on key findings. And once we have that, then our goal is to really make deep insight. We heard earlier from a speaker, Tomas, about humans being meaning-making machines. When we make meaning at the insight level, that's actually part of the change process itself. And so we want to make deep meaning from that assessment data and move it into some very concrete, specific goals. And we capture that in what we call a strategic development plan, also might be referred to as an action plan. Once we have that plan or that roadmap in place, we move into implementation, and that is really putting it into action through coaching sessions. And once we get towards that, we're going to see a lot of change. We don't want that change to revert back. We don't want that person to go back to their default behaviors. We want to create stickiness. We want to reinforce those gains and set this person up for long-term success such that they are sustaining the progress that they've made throughout their coaching experience. So that, in a nutshell, is the 4-stage AIR process, and it can be applied at the one-to-one executive coaching, the team effectiveness, and of course at the leadership development where we're coaching at scale. Our technology platform, I mentioned we have the ECM, Enterprise Coaching Manager, and we have the Coaching Zone and Team Zone. They're actually one ecosystem and related. So you set your users up and create engagements in the ECM, and therefore you can track, you can see who's working with who, where they're at within their coaching engagement. And then as you're using the Coaching Zone, you're going to be given surveys. And those surveys are going to be taking measurements about the effectiveness of your coaching throughout the experience, pre, mid, post. And those analytics will come back into ECM so that if I'm a talent manager or an HR practitioner that's charged with the talent development function or one segment of that function, I can not only have my project management analytics, but I can also start to see the ROI and the effectiveness of the investments that I'm making. So those are the three sort of key differentiators at AIR: technology, science, and talent. And I'd love to just walk you through briefly like the business case, right? Why are companies spending so much money on coaching? So the logic really goes like this. If a good manager is driving productivity and engagement, and that's increasing bottom line, and a bad manager is diminishing productivity and engagement, which is decreasing bottom line, then the logic is simple. If better managers lead to higher productivity and higher productivity and engagement leads to more money, then why would you not invest in developing great managers? And that is really why this field of executive coaching has exploded in the last decade. Another way to look at it is a concept called the cascade effect. And this is why our mission is to affect leaders around the world. Our purpose, our reason for existence, is really to help people become better, right? But why would we then target the leader? Well, that's because the leader has a disproportionate level of influence on the organization itself. And the cascade effect can really explain and or account for that phenomena. So if I'm a coach and I'm working with a leader who might have some trouble regulating their emotion, right? They might get a little bit upset, a little volatile. Nobody's ever experienced that, right, with their boss or in the workplace. If I'm working with that leader to really tone that down, to sand those rough edges and help them, equip them with strategies and tools to mitigate that risk, the implications to that leader's team then are actually quite significant. We know from the trust and safety literature, Al made a really wise comment earlier about trust and safety and its importance and prominence in this space. It makes the world a difference in terms of how we interact, how we communicate, how we innovate, how we create. The dynamic of the team can be night and day, depending on how that team leader has set the tone. And so if that team is now innovating and producing and they're more productive and they're feeling good and they have a good team culture, then what do you think the impact is for the managers below that team, right? And so on and so forth. Those managers will affect the front line, and it goes all the way down to the customer, such that if the company is doing anything remotely virtuous, you're actually bettering the world by working with that leader. And so that's what we do. We get a lot of energy from it. This is what the cascade effect looks like when it's gone wrong, right? That's without coaching. And this is the cascade effect gone right, a really beautiful waterfall cascading. And I had this question, I sort of answered it a little bit, but I bring it up again. Why do we exist? So it was always clear to us our mission. Our mission is to really affect, influence, change, help leaders become the best leaders they can be. But then somebody asked me a few years ago, he said, why? Why do you want to? I was, well, because it's such a noble thing. No, why? Why do you feel it's so important to help leaders become more effective? And it really put me on this journey of really thinking about our reason for existence. What is the underlying reason for why we're doing what we're doing? And in really going on that journey, it became clear to me that the reason why we're doing this is because people can change for the better. We have the opportunity to do that. We have the opportunity to better ourselves. And as executive coaches, as people developers, we believe we're uniquely positioned to do that. But we can't boil the ocean all at once. We can't hit every leader in the world, every person in the world. So strategically, we work with leaders to activate this cascade effect. And we believe that that is one of the most powerful strategic ways to help people become their best selves. And with that, thank you very much. Any questions about what we do or about AIR Consulting? Yes? It really depends on the maturity of the organization. A lot of organizations have a function even where within HR there's a talent development function and sometimes even a function for executive coaching itself. And so typically it's going to be someone within the talent development function or an HR business partner who's out in the field. But occasionally leaders will reach out. But the primary sort of 85% or more are going to come from the HR leader. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so thankfully we have Justin Zamora, who's our data scientist. I failed stats in undergrad and almost failed it in grad. But thank God we have Justin Zamora, who's our data scientist at AIR Consulting, to compensate. And maybe Justin will add on to what I'm about to say. But to Al's point around, are we going to skate to the puck or skate to where the puck is going? For the last 6 years, we've been skating to the puck. I think that even within our space, that put us at about in the upper quartile of companies in terms of the sophistication of measurement. So we were actually surveying and using multiple quantitative and qualitative data points to demonstrate a story of effectiveness. But what we're doing now, we're really, really trying to get ahead. We're really trying to skate to the puck. And in that regard, we're piloting right now something we call Airstream. And it is a pre, mid, post multi-rater rather than relying just on self-report, a much more robust set of quantitative metrics that also have some algorithms tied to it, along with quantitative, and it will look more like a report than a piece of paper. And that's where we're trending to. The pilot closes in the end of November, and that's what we'll be popping out into 2020 with. So the short answer to your question is industry-wide, not that I've seen. At AIR, yes. I don't know, Justin, if you want to add to that.
That's exactly right. I mean, with Jonathan's leadership, how they learn more? How they learn more?
Yeah, reach out to contact@airconsulting.com, info@airconsulting.com, and or just come see me. Thanks a lot, Al. Appreciate it.
Well, awesome.
Thank you.